Good morning, hello, and welcome to the final episode of season 2 of Tea with Abbie, the show where we talk and sip the tea about the truth of what it is like to get a business started, run a business, pursue our dreams. And I am thrilled to wrap up the season this morning with experienced entrepreneur and incredible woman that I've had the pleasure of getting to know, Michelle Breyer. Welcome to the Tea Show, Michelle.
Hi, I'm honored to be here. My tea is a coffee, but cheers from Del Mar.
So you're in California right now.
Yes, I am. I am visiting my parents and enjoying a break from the 100-degree heat. So.
I know you have a nice sweater on, and I can imagine it's kind of a cooler, crisp morning where you are.
Yeah, so if my hair starts growing on camera, it's because it's a little foggy, and that's the beauty of curly hair. You never know what it's going to do.
That's amazing. That's a great intro for a bit of what you do, and you have quite the impressive resume. Currently, you serve as COO at SKU, which is a CPG incubator. But what I'm also thrilled to speak with you about today is your experience as co-founder of Naturally Curly and Texture Media. I can't wait to pick your brain about that a little bit. You've been named one of the 50 most influential people in multicultural markets by Women's Wear Daily. You are a business reporter. You're a mentor at various amounts of accelerators and incubators around. Michelle, do you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself and what drives you to pursue your passion?
Well, I've always kind of opportunities have presented themselves along the way, and I've taken advantage of them. Sometimes they're totally different than what I thought I would be doing. I thought I would be a newspaper reporter for my whole career, and then another idea, inspiration came my way, which was to solve a problem for my own hair, and a business arose out of that. And then after we sold Naturally Curly, I mentored for SKU, and that evolved into a business where I could help other entrepreneurs. So it's been kind of a wonderful journey.
That's incredible. That's kind of how I feel about where Blended Sense has taken me. I never envisioned myself as the CEO running a business and having employees and customers and things like that. But there's something wonderful about a problem arising in your life and saying, I think I'm going to go find a solution for it.
Exactly.
Before you know it, it's turned into a business.
Yeah. And I've had people along the way who have said, well, I want to start a website, or I want to start a business. And I have said kind of, what's your passion? What's the why of why you're doing it? And they're, well, I don't really know. And I think you need to know why you're doing something, and it has to kind of arise out of your own passion for something or frustration with something. So that's kind of my philosophy on entrepreneurship.
So take us back, because Naturally Curly started over 2 decades ago. What's that transition going from reporting to, hey, I have a problem, I'm going to go find a solution? Did it quickly turn into a business, or did that take some time? What was that like?
Well, we never actually anticipated it would be a business. We were at a Sunday brunch bitching about our hair, and somebody overheard us and was just kind of intrigued that we could talk about our hair for like an hour, and thought, well, there must be something here. You guys should start a magazine or a website. And so we're like, yeah, let's do it. We'd had quite a few mimosas, and it just seemed like a good idea. And my neighbor's 14-year-old son designed us a website. We all put in $300, and but it was just a hobby, a way to get free hair product. Really, that was the bottom line. I loved getting like boxes on the front porch. And then we kind of tapped into a whole, millions of people who felt like we did. So slowly over time, we found ways to monetize our community. And, it started taking more and more time. And we, between my founder, Gretchen Heber, and I, we started having kids. and we were basically working 80 hours a week. So it became clear that, something had to give. And so we kind of jumped off the cliff and said, we're going to try this full time. And then it really kind of took off from there because we could devote our full time to it. I mean, it was incredibly scary, but you can't, at some point, you can't do two things at the same time. And if you really want your business to grow, you've got to be willing to kind of take that risk, and that kind of pushes you to make it work. You have that sense of urgency, and once we got to the six figures, that's when we really knew that we could make it a business. So, and we had great mentors along the way.
How long did it take to hit that six-figure mark?
About 4 years. We started, well, actually, thinking about it, I guess I left the paper in 95. So it was actually 7 years. Sorry. We started devoting more time to it probably within the first 4 years. And by the spring of 2005, we, left, rented office space, and started doing it full time.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's the part about entrepreneurship that you don't realize. And I especially have felt it over the past year with all this pressure to become everything the business is supposed to be in a single year. By the end of the year, we have to be making a certain amount of revenue and customers, or else we're not successful. But the reality is, it's such a longer game. And what I have found most inspiring when I have these conversations with entrepreneurs in this T series is the length of time it does actually take to bring something to profit, or to bring something to the market, or the 10 years of hard work that all of a sudden made this 1 year look like a piece of cake. And that, you can't give up because it's a long game. It's not an easy straight path.
Yeah, and I think people have a misconception. They look at a successful business and they think it happened really quickly, but you have to be really patient and understand it may take time, and you may be having to do it as a side hustle initially, just to kind of see if it can be a business. But it really does take patience. Sometimes it can be an immediate success, but that's kind of the exception, I think.
Right. What ways did your experience and past life as a business reporter contribute to being a founder?
Well, I did a lot of profiles on entrepreneurs, so I kind of saw how things evolve for them. And, but I think the biggest way was that I met a lot of people, and one of them in particular, his name is Jimmy Trabig, and I can't say enough about him. He is one of the most successful business people in Austin. He founded Tandem Computers and sold it to Compaq. And he was a VC in town, and he kind of made it his mission to give back. So he would meet with entrepreneurs, and he met with us at the IHOP. I remember it vividly because we told him about our business, and I think his eyes glazed over like, yeah, fine. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Curly hair. Okay. Just keep me posted on how you're doing. And we kept on, we would call him every 6 months, and our revenue was growing, doubling. Suddenly we were in the six figures, and he became very, very intrigued. And he was somebody who always wanted to keep learning. He had been, really in the computer high tech business, and he wanted to learn about social media, and he felt like he could learn about it through us. So we started meeting in his boardroom, and I remember him saying, "How are you going to get to $1 million?" And we were just like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" But he was all about you've got to think big. And he actually introduced us to the people at the Central Texas Angel Network, and we pitched there, and we were the first company to get investment from CTAM.
Wow.
And I think it really surprised a lot of the people in the room. We were pitching with 3 other companies, and they were kind of traditional, companies. I remember they were all men. And then here these 2 women come up and talk about curly hair. And we had kind of a little crowd around us of people who wanted to invest, and mostly people who had no experience in social media. They just knew someone with curly hair and they knew the struggle that person was having. So they tapped into that and they thought, okay, I think this could really be something. So that was,
Wow. That is really neat. Two things stood out to me there. One, I remember hearing Carrie Rupp.
I love her.
Speak she's an investor here in Austin, for those of you who are not here in Austin. And she's of True Wealth Ventures. She said that in a mentorship session we had with her at Capital Factory, like, don't be afraid to go big, to dream big, to talk big when you're in those conversations with those investors and those pitches, because men do it with ease. They have no problem at just, hey, this is how big it's going to be and everything's going to be great. And we're women, we take a much more pragmatic and thoughtful and kind of pieced out approach. And she said, so don't forget to do that, because, you're playing in a game that has a lot of men in it. And it's a lot of men are still writing the checks and making decisions. I love that, because we've had, we're in the fundraising journey right now. And so I've had plenty of experiences where I feel like it's myself, my co-founder, Georgina, we're pitching, we're a very creative, empathetic kind of product and experience. And we might be speaking with someone who's predominantly in oil and gas, and
Yeah.
it just kind of goes right over their heads. And we've had to get creative in the ways we use analogies to sort of find some, connection with them, to try to connect with them. So was there anything that you did as women pitching when looking for investment in maybe a male-dominated space? How did you get them to understand the problem?
Well, again, Jimmy was like our incredible mentor extraordinaire, because I remember we would practice in front of him, and we didn't do a business plan until like 7 years into our business, which actually was probably a good thing because we let it evolve where it would go. But I remember we had a pitch and it was all emotional and about our problems and our struggles. And he, quite bluntly said, well, how am I going to make money? Like, you have to tell me how I'm going to make money. What is our liquidity event? Like, who are you going to sell to? And, how big is this business going to become? And what is our, multiples of what you're going to sell for? And that was really hard to kind of switch our focus from like our emotional reason for starting the business to like the financial, which a lot of, especially male investors, they need to hear, point blank, you're going to make money this way.
Right.
So.
Wow. Yeah. That's been kind of a bit of a learning curve for me as well. As an actor, I'm a very emotional being naturally, but but tying in the emotional piece into the financial return is kind of where I've been finding my stride a little bit in the this opportunity is amazing, and here is why. That's really cool. So is Naturally Curly Texture Media, this still exists today?
22 years later.
Wow.
It's now owned by Essence Ventures, and amazing managing editor. We talk on a regular basis. She's really kind of taken the reins and taken it to the next level. I mean, it's really like heartwarming that this little baby that we've created, continues on. And that makes me really happy. It's actually bigger than ever. I think it had 8 million unique visitors last month. And I actually got an email from a L'Oreal, ad buyer. She was a VP of marketing, and she's like, how do I do a big campaign on Naturally Curly? Because a lot of people still come through me because they, they met me years ago. So, there's a lot of value there. And I think that's, any entrepreneur, even after you sell, I mean, it can be a little bit of a bittersweet experience because you're no longer involved. It can be a little bit sad when you see your business and you're no longer that involved. But yeah, you have a sense of accomplishment that it can continue on without you, which is pretty incredible. Like I feel very proud of that.
Absolutely. To know that there's that something was built strong enough that its values, what it stood for, and its solution ultimately is still doing the thing that you
Yeah,
initially
exactly.
started. So who knew that at brunch years ago with some mimosas? That is just wild. I love that.
Well, and it's the other thing that is pretty amazing is like you go into a Target and there's a whole curly hair section now, like dozens of products. And a lot of those products were products that we helped bring to market in various ways. We kind of helped retailers understand that more than half the population has curly hair, and you're missing out on this opportunity if you don't, you know, great products, stock products. And so I can go down an aisle and know that I had that kind of impact
Wow.
on the types of products that people created. So, whether it was a L'Oreal or a Unilever, or it was a one woman entrepreneur. And I think that's the thing about the curly hair world. It was really driven by female entrepreneurs who were solving their own problems. I mean, it was a grassroots effort that showed the big CPGs, hey, you got to get on board with this. And I think that's a pretty amazing thing. When you see, indie brands led by women with passion, kind of changing the way people view it, creating a market. So that's been really amazing to watch.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on all that success, and it's just inspiring to know that it's possible to take a tiny little idea that started as a conversation and turn it into something that had influence, and now you have a legacy. And I that just gets me motivated to
You've
keep
done that
talking.
too. You've done that too.
Getting there, we're getting there.
Yeah.
So what I'm curious about is, now that you're in a position at SKU, for our viewers out there who don't really understand what CPG or accelerator incubators are, can you just give us a little brief definition of what that means?
It is really surrounding an entrepreneur with all of the mentorship and resources they need to take their business from, point A to point Z or point G, like it's really helping them, with the information, knowledge. And in the case of SKU, I think it's really the mentors that are the special sauce, because they've in many cases started their own businesses, grown them. You've got people like Clayton Christopher, who founded Sweet Leaf Tea and Deep Eddy Vodka, and Scott Jensen, who founded Stubbs Barbecue and Rhythm Superfoods. And they're taking their knowledge and their connections to help these entrepreneurs, which is a pretty amazing, it's pretty amazing for somebody who just started a business to be surrounded by these people who all want to see them succeed and are going to help them in any way they can. So I think that happens with, incubators and accelerators. It's really, exactly what it sounds like. It accelerates the business. It helps incubate ideas and turn them into successful businesses.
Right. So for those of you out there, Blended Sense took part in an incubator, and then we're currently, over the past year, we've been in an accelerator, and it has done just that. It's accelerated our growth because we've had access to information that we could have probably found, but it was a bit more out of reach. But by being in the accelerator, we have access to people to look over our pitch decks and to run ideas by and get in front of. The SKU one that you are the COO of refers to specifically the SKU number of food product, correct?
Yeah, the little barcode that you see on your whether it's your eggs or your laundry detergent. So I love the name because it really does.
It's cute.
It really captures what it's about, creating new SKUs that you're going to see on your shelves.
I have a mother daughter friend team duo out in New Jersey right now, trying to bring a product to life. what kinds of businesses do you find entering, like at what, excuse me, I'll rephrase my question. What stage is a business coming into SKU to be a part of that program? What is the correct is not the right word. Like, what is the phase that a business is going, okay, I've been making products at home in my kitchen and I've been taking it to farmers markets and I think I want to do something more with it. Is that the phase that you're finding businesses come into, or is there another level before entering an accelerator like this?
Well, it depends on the incubator or accelerator. At SKU, they really have to have, some traction. So we typically don't take businesses that have less than $100,000 in revenue. Although in the case of our last cohort, track 8, we had a business who had done very, very well, Blenders and Bowls, which you probably have heard of. It's a chain of restaurants that makes acai bowls, and they wanted to create a product that you could get in your supermarket. So they had success with their restaurants, but the product that they were going to sell in the stores was a new product. Mm-hmm. So, that's, maybe at the earlier stage. And then we had a product called paleo powder that already had $1 million in sales, but he really needed help kind of taking it to the next level. But really has to have some traction in the market, some proof of concept that you can go out there and sell. So we tend to see some that are in farmers markets, and we encourage them to go a little further. And then, we've had those companies that started that way that then we have in our cohorts. For instance, Siete, which you've probably heard of, which is everywhere now. They were selling their chips in little baggies to Wheatsville Co-op, and when they came into the program, so we really helped them go to that next level. And they pivoted, they changed the name of their product, they came up with a product roadmap. But, literally their products were in little baggies when they came into the program.
There's no starting place that's, they're all humble. It's all humble beginnings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The difference of starting a business 20 years ago and starting now, what are you finding really separates successful companies who are setting out to start a business in 2020?
Well, I think there's more access. There's different kinds of financing your business. Like we didn't have convertible notes back then, which would have been nice because you can raise money. You don't have to fill out your round. We had to raise an A round. That was our first, our first finance. That was the way we raised money. And now you have a convertible note and you have a seed round, and it gives you a little bit more control early on. I think there are a lot of accelerators and incubators now. There were none when we started, so it was, we kind of created our own. Jimmy came into the picture and he had friends. He surrounded us with people who could help us. For instance, we had an e-commerce site and he knew somebody who had expertise there. Or, we really needed help with marketing and he was able to bring in people, along the way to help us. So it was our own kind of, pseudo accelerator. But, now you really have a lot of options that can really surround you with that without having to go out and find it on your own.
How important, or what are the most important pieces of taking that business from, okay, we've got some traction, now we're going to take it to the next level? In your opinion, would it be branding, content, business plan? Like what are some of those key pieces of the business that help bring it to full
the next level? Yeah. Well, I think, we've had people in our cohort, we have them all do a pitch deck, and I've told them, it goes beyond just doing that to raise money. When you create a pitch deck, you're having to show, who is your market? What is your what are you bringing that's different? What is your plan? What is your product roadmap? Like you have to be able to summarize that in a pitch deck. So I think it's really having that very clear idea of who you are, who your market is, and really where you want to go. I think that's really key to growing your business.
What excites you about the kinds of products or entrepreneurs that you're seeing come through your cohort?
There are so many creative ideas, and like Naturally Curly, they all started with people finding a solution to their problem, whether it was trying to lose weight or it was somebody with Lyme disease who discovered that mushrooms could help you know solve the problem and reduce the symptoms. So it's this creativity you see in these entrepreneurs, and it's so energizing, because they all have these ideas that are, it may be a crowded category, but they found something different to bring to that category. Whether we had someone this last cohort that had a sparkling water that was so different than all the sparkling waters on the market. It was a combination of kind of a fruit and an herb, and it was like so delicious. Lemongrass coconut and lavender, I think it was lavender cucumber. They just really unique flavors. So yes, there are a lot of sparkling waters, but this was different. Really, in every category, there's some different thing that you can create that may be revolutionary. So that's exciting.
You get to try a lot of things then.
Oh yeah. We eat a lot. We eat a lot of different products at SKU. I definitely don't go hungry. Yeah.
That's the best. I kind of feel the same way about, we service a ton of CPG products. So I've been able to try all kinds of things and samples. We do health and wellness too. So I get some chapsticks and lotions and plenty of empanadas from our first customer.
Yeah. Well, you have such cool clients. You get a lot of the clients. I mean, some of them are SKU SKU companies. So you actually are doing that next step of taking their idea and creating content around it that's going to help them sell their product in a more effective way. So it's nice to see a business like yours helping companies that we are, that come through our cohort. So.
Yeah, well, CPG was the first vertical we went into specifically because when you launch, those brands are inherently dependent on content. Everything from logo design to packaging to the e-commerce, photography to the lifestyle photos for their social media. So my co-founder and I, there's three of us, but Georgina and I specifically, had this argument with Albert about, he wanted to go into this vertical and this vertical, and we were like, we're going to stick with CPG first. I promise it is going to be so valuable. And it has, because I've also found in that vertical, there's such community and support. And so we're so grateful for every customer that then refers us out to somebody else they know who has a CPG product. And I find that whole just industry is very inclusive, especially here in Austin.
I would agree.
Like going to, when there was events, I missed events so much.
What was that like? I vaguely remember.
I remember the very last one was right as the decision to close South by Southwest was happening. And
was that the Naturally Austin one? Yeah, that was a really cool one. Yeah.
And there's all these products and everyone's sharing ideas and helping and trying and tasting and telling you to go try this, and so much collaboration and support between all the entrepreneurs present. It felt like you could bring something to the table and you'd be welcomed and supported. And I think that's what I found in Austin in general to be very different from the Northeast. People are interested in collaboration and understand the value of working with others in a way that I had never experienced before, and frankly was a little uncomfortable with it first.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I don't know whether you know, but SKU is starting a cohort in DFW this fall.
Oh, that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, it was kind of a exciting, serendipitous, opportunity where one of our mentors, Richard Riccardi, who lives in the DFW area, he started a CPG group called DFW CPG because he wanted to help create that same sense of community there that we have in Austin. And he recruited us to go up there because his goal is to really create that amazing sense of community. And that really helps spur innovation and helps create this amazing there's a magic that happens when everybody is talking and collaborating and helping each other. And it as you said, it doesn't happen in every market. I mean, it happens in very few markets. I think places like Boulder. I'm trying to think of another market that you would have this, kind of tight community where there's this communication and conversation that happens. Everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
It is unique.
How do you think Shark Tank has influenced entrepreneurship?
Well, I think SKU has a lot of similarities to Shark Tank. I think that, we do have equity mentors and they all have skin in the game. And that has an influence because, their number one, driver to get involved with SKU is because they have a passion to help other entrepreneurs. That's, the bottom line. But there is something when you've invested in these companies. And so, I think that is a kind of an interesting, unique thing that really Shark Tank brought to the table. Um, but I do also think, it really publicized in an interesting way how you come to the pitching of an idea, how to do it effectively. You saw all these really unique companies, and then they're trying to communicate in a way that gets people to invest in them. And actually, a couple of our curly hair companies that worked with us, got on Shark Tank. It was a big deal. But it was interesting to see them, you know, really get these people excited about their product, and it showed how difficult that can be. You can be a great entrepreneur, but that doesn't mean that you have that ability to communicate what you do to others. Like that is hard.
It is. Yeah, I asked because on until Shark Tank, I don't think I was familiar with that phrase CPG, and you commonly see that's probably one of the most frequent kinds of pitches. It's, whether it's a food product or a wellness product or a tool or something. That's kind of the most common pitch you see on Shark Tank, and I think it's opened up a lot of people's eyes to saying, "Oh, I've experienced something that I wish I had a product for," or
Yeah.
and maybe I can go do that too. And granted, there's also a lot of opportunity to see what isn't working or what is not the way to go about doing it, which I think is equally as valuable as seeing success. So yeah, I'm just curious because we talk a lot about that. I mean, we're kind of Shark Tank fanatics. We started a company, and we had one of our customers pitch on there in April, which was really exciting. They're a really cool glasses company for kids out of New York, and there's just like some neat validation that came with that. But yeah. So what is next in the world of entrepreneurship as we're in this pandemic state, we're not able to be in that event space that we were just talking about. We're not able to collaborate in person like that. How are you navigating that, both at SKU, and how do you see other entrepreneurs navigating this time?
Well, people are getting really good at pivoting. You have to find other ways to get people excited about your product. For instance, sampling has always been a big part of how, especially food companies, get their products in front of people. And I don't know if we're going to have sampling again. So you have to find another way, um, to make that happen. I would say with SKU, it was interesting because the pandemic hit midway through our cohort. So we had to find a different way of presenting our information quickly, which we were able to do. I'm going to give a plug to our program manager, Alyssa Padron, because she was able to quickly turn our program into a virtual program. And then our showcase, which is kind of our big pitch event, which has always been a chance for people to sample their products to this big, huge room of several hundred people who are potential investors or retail brokers. So we had to kind of create a virtual version of that. And we created a video, which in a lot of ways was more effective because it was able to kind of give you a behind the scenes of these entrepreneurs and really kind of give you a flavor of who they are. And it gave them something that they could present to, potential investors. It lives on. In fact, one of our companies from the last cohort emailed me yesterday because she has a big name investor who contacted her, who saw her on our showcase video. So we had an audience of people around the country. So that was really something unique. So you do have to find different ways to get in front of people. I mean, I see people who, one company in particular was going to do a big press event in New York, and obviously that couldn't happen. So she had an online press event and actually had 40 key, beauty reporters from everyone from Refinery 29 to the Wall Street Journal. And so she was actually able to reach more people. She sent boxes with her product to each one, and it was super effective. So you can't get frustrated. You just have to figure out some other way of getting people excited. SKU is partnering with Naturally Austin on this big cocktail hour. I don't know if you've heard about it, but we got a whole bunch of different spirits companies and snack companies, and we created these recipes, and we're sending out these boxes to people, and then we're having this online kind of informational event with different rooms that people can go into to, whether it's winning online or financial, CPG financial considerations. And they'll have these cocktails that they can make. So it's almost like a happy hour, a virtual happy hour. And it's, it was really fun to come up with that. Emily Keeley from Naturally Austin is brilliant. But you have to get people excited in different ways. So I think the norm is going to be, getting creative, figuring, definitely getting your products online. If you weren't selling them online, they need to be. So that's kind of what we're seeing happen.
Yeah, I feel that the parameters of what we've been experiencing, especially in our business, has forced us to be very creative, which has led to incredible pivots and discoveries that maybe we would have made down the line, a couple years into our business, but because of the situation, we were forced to problem solve now and find solutions now.
Yeah.
I also think that there's so much power happening in being virtual and how we can reach others in other markets that maybe if for example, we host this monthly event for our creative professionals that used to be in person. So it was only limited to who was here in Austin. But since it's gone virtual, and now we have people joining us from all around the country, and we started a partnership with a tech company out of Boston because of it. And then I love the idea of it's also can be we have bigger reach, but we can also be more intimate. for example, what you just said about sending those little kits and boxes of snacks and cocktails, just how much personalization can go into reaching someone right now, because it's arriving in their mail and it's a single experience for them. So it's like there's something really interesting happening with reach, but then also intimacy.
Yeah. And I think even when this is over, you're going to see a lot of these things continue. You know, like I don't think there's any kind of replacement for that one-on-one, like when you can sit with somebody or, you know, network with people at a party or happy hour. But I think that you're having a lot more one-on-one conversations that are, you know, kind of meaningful and powerful.
Yeah, I agree. What an incredible time to running business.
Who knew coming into 2020 that it was going to be this crazy year? I mean, yeah. There's really nothing to say. Like I don't know whether you'll be having a conversation with somebody and you're talking about stay-at-home orders or pandemic, and it's like, oh my God, that's become a part of my vocabulary. Like that's crazy. Yeah.
We were reflecting on the first week that we all came home, which for us, we had our team, sent our team home on March 13th. And a couple of things happened for us during that weekend. Right before the pandemic, we had a check that was going to be coming in from an investor. And within the weekend of the stay-at-home order happening, South by Southwest getting canceled by that following Monday, the deal was off the table, unfortunately, because they didn't know what the future held. And I just remember that first week of everyone being home and day 5 and like, can you
baking bread, doing puzzles,
like here we are months and weeks later, and there's a normalcy about what's happened. And I mean, I'm as frustrating as a lot of it is, and we get very fatigued, I think, from working from home. You know, maybe once a week, once every other week, you're just like, I wish I could be in a cafe or a workshop space, something with energy. I've also appreciated what it's allowed us to do, which is, you know, wake up early and take care of ourselves and have gratitude moments with our morning coffee and take calls. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm very pregnant right now.
I did not know that. Congratulations.
I'm about 8 months.
Gosh. Very pregnant.
Yeah, I'm 8 months heading into September. I'll be having a baby. And you know, I've heard other CEOs talk about, you know, what it was like to be pregnant and to be pitching and to be walking into an investor room and everybody just is eyes on your belly and they can't focus on your actual business. And men don't get that attention when they become fathers. And I've been so grateful for this time because it's allowed me to connect in a way that clears out the noise, and then the investor and I can just have this conversation. And I'll be honest about it if it comes to that point, of course, you know, like, hey, I'm pregnant, but I'm not, I'm heard in a way that I don't know if I would be heard if we were taking meetings in person. And it's not bad also taking pitches like from your couch and sweatpants.
Yeah.
Like fancy on top, you know?
Yeah. I'm wearing like running shorts. Yeah. I think on a typical day, I rarely get out of my yoga clothes.
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible time to be alive, and I feel grateful to be a part of what's shaping the future of work.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Amazing. Well, I'm so grateful for your time and sharing all your knowledge with us. I'm so excited to put this episode out because of how many CPG companies we service. You sent me your statement, Sip. So this is the point in the show where we like to say it out loud and we give each other a cheers. And it kind of hits home on this whole theme of this year and just really slowing down a little bit and identifying what it is, what's going on in our lives.
Yeah.
Coming forward with authenticity from that place. I wrote it down, and I really like this. And this is where blended sense came from. Find the solution for a problem in your own life. That's brilliant. Would you Would you give us your little statement sip, Michelle?
Okay. Find a solution for a problem you have in your own life. Cheers.
Cheers to that. All right. Well, everyone, that is the tea, and that is it for season 2 of Tea with Abbie. Michelle Breyer, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoy your time over on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll see you in Austin soon.
Hopefully sometime soon with a baby. Well, thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for watching Tea with Abbie. Be sure to click subscribe and smack that like button so you can stay tuned. Smack that like button. See that like button? Smack it. Thanks so much for watching an episode of Tea with Abbie. Be sure to click subscribe and smack that like button so you can stay tuned with new episodes all year long. And if you want to learn more about Blended Sense, visit us at our website, www.blendedsense.com, or follow us on social at Blended Sense or at blendedsense.io. See you next week.